Welcome to Smacky's Garage. Today we're going to talk about everything wrong with my '69 Mustang. Not again. So let's talk about the car. The car is a 390 4-speed car, so it's got that big block power. It's got a lot of torque. I've been working on it forever with my father, and we finally finished it up about 2 or 3 years ago. You know, everything you see here is my hard work, so I did all the body work on the car. I ended up painting it myself in the garage at my parents' house. I did the interior work, and I also built the engine in it. So the 390 that's in there was built by me. I had a machine shop take it and hone the block, but other than that, everything on this hasn't been touched by anyone else, well, during the restoration. We're going to go through the car, top to bottom. We're going to cover everything that's been wrong with it, that's unfinished with it. We're going to go through the interior here. We're going to go through the engine. We're going to look at kind of the details that are left unfinished. And then we're going to go through the exterior of the body. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. That way you can follow along on the channel as we fix everything wrong with this car and we finish the restoration. All right, let's get into it. All right, the first item is we're missing the Mach 1 stripes on the side. On the Mach 1, you're gonna have a stripe that goes down the side of the car here, and you're gonna have, it's gonna say Mach 1 on the rear back here. You know, that is currently not on the car, and that's one of the big things that I'm missing that I'm looking forward to adding this year. Also, what we're missing from here from the Mach 1 graphics is on a Mach 1 they actually have a painted flat back black hood. This hood here is just body color. You know, it really needs the outline and it needs the stripe that goes around the outside, the pinstripe. So we're going to go ahead and get that added as well. All right, we're going to talk about how the car is too high. Let's take a look. You can see here my French Bulldog actually fits underneath the car. So, Tank, can you say hi? Can you say hi, Tank? So that there is speaking to how high the car is and kind of needing to drop it down. All right, since I'm not using the original hood, this hood here didn't have the cutouts for the turn signals, which are standard on Mach 1s of these years, the ones that didn't have the shakers. So you can see here I have 2 openings in the back where the turn signals are supposed to go. So that's something that we got to add this year. I have those. To be able to do that, I'm going to need to cut a hole in the hood underneath it and pass the wires through. Haven't done that yet. We'll get that done. That covers everything here that needs to get fixed on the outside of the car. So now let's look on the interior and see what we need to do next. There's a lot of work that needs to go in to make the interior of this car right. So you can see the wires underneath hanging out. I think that's from the wideband sensor, so I installed that quickly so I could get the car here. I left the wires hanging below it. Now they're rattling around behind the dash. So that's something that really needs to get fixed in the next few months. So other than that, you hear a lot of rattling behind the dash, so I need to go back behind it and start kind of tightening things down, making sure everything's in the right spots. So I have the original stereo in it. I have the original heating system in it. I replaced the motor on it. I fixed the heater box with fiberglass so that it doesn't leak. The wiring doesn't reach the heater, so I got to take it apart and I have to redo the wiring behind the dash to make it right. You know, the clock itself does work. Battery's not powered right now, but the clock works. Solenoid and everything in there is good, so I'm very happy about that. You can see the wiring underneath of there as well that needs to be cleaned up and made kind of hidden behind the dash. So looking at the back seat, you know, the back seat, it's a folding back seat, but it's still not in. The hooks are there, everything's ready to get hooked, but I bought a new chrome kit for the outside of this folding back seat, and it really didn't go on well. All right, we'll take a look at the steering wheel. So the steering wheel is not correct for this car. It's from I believe a 70s Mustang, or maybe just this 69 standard Mustang. The air fuel gauge on there doesn't actually work correctly right now. I think the gauge is actually, or the sensor is actually broken, so it's only reading 14.6 constantly when I'm driving it. So I need to get that fixed and get that replaced. And now probably one of the more annoying things. So the seat over here, the driver's seat, is actually has an issue where I think the well down the bottom is broken. So it needs to be replaced with it needs to either be taken out and welded, or it needs to be fixed, or it needs to be completely replaced. I do have 2 spare seats over here that I'm planning on either using or taking parts out of, but I think they're both passenger side seats, so I'm probably not gonna be able to use them. The door panels here, everything's on, everything looks correctly, but the light there that's underneath the wood grain, you can see the white and red, that's not working right now. So it's supposed to light up anytime you open the door. You can see it's not lighting up, so that needs to be replaced. As well as I need to add the little disc that goes on top of the window crank. That's it for the interior, so let's go ahead and move on to the engine. So let's go ahead and talk about this engine. So this is a big block FE, it's a 390, it's been bored over. I have Edelbrock Performer RPM FE heads on it. I have a full MSD ignition distributor in the Race Pro Bullet. I have a Holley double pumper on it, as well as a Blue Thunder medium riser intake. It makes for a great combination. It's fun to drive. Really screams when you're driving it. The cam that's in it is a Comp XE284H, so it's one of their extreme energy cams, and it runs really well. But what I need to do is I actually need to change the gears out to get better use of it down low. So I think I either have the 3.0 or 3 1/4 in there right now, so that's something that needs to get changed out. I need to find a better way to do the wiring for the MSD ignition here. It's really kind of botched together just to give it power so I can be driving it. So that needs to get updated as well. For the exhaust system, I have Hooker long tube headers, so I think they're the 6114s. They sound awesome kind of in the car. They sound awesome underneath the car and behind the car. I have a full pipe stainless exhaust on it, so that sounds great too. I love the way it sounds. It turns heads going down the road, and it's an amazing, amazing exhaust note. I do have the X-pipe crossover on it. I mean, I've gotten a little flack on that for having an X-pipe versus an H-pipe, but I still think it sounds really good. So there's a lot of work that needs to go in here, at least cleaning things up. There's a lot of overspray from the primer on the car, so that needs to get cleaned up. The engine itself actually runs pretty decent. There's a few small things that need to get tweaked, but nothing major. I think what I want to end up doing is redoing a lot of the splices and the work on the MSD box, because I've had a situation where the splice actually fell off while I was driving the car, and the car itself ended up just dying on the side of the road. Here's something else that needs to be replaced on the car. You can see the fuel pressure regulator is mounted directly to the head. It gets really hot on the head when the engine's off, or even when the engine's running. So that's something that needs to be moved. Probably going to end up replacing the pump to get one that has an integrated fuel pressure regulator, just so that I'd stop boiling off the fuel when the car turns off. I still have this temperature gauge in it, which I've had since I originally started the engine. It's an old thermometer from the house that needs to be replaced, and kind of with the correct elbow. I have the correct elbow for it that's going to go onto the car. I just need to I need to drain some of the coolant and replace it. Thanks for tuning in today on Smacky's Garage. Hope you enjoyed the walkthrough of the 69 Mustang and everything wrong with it. Subscribe so you can follow along as we fix all the issues with the car.